For Monday session, week two, session one. Now moving on to the cool down. So, cool down, obviously, as I said before many times, is to remove waste products still in the body from the exercise, and also to reduce muscle soreness in the future. So the cool down, uh, by staying active, you're keeping the blood flow high in the body. You're allowing it to circulate more, and this is removing waste products. Um, and it's returning the body to its pre-exercise state, which is what you need. So this cool down will be mimicry, which is basically you're mimicking what was in the previous session, and you're doing it at a lower intensity with a lower resistance. So it's not actually hard for you to do it, but you're keeping your heart rate high. You're keeping your blood flow. You're keeping your blood flow high as well. So this will include going on the elliptical, like the main session, for 5 minutes, and just carrying out for 5 minutes at about 50% of your maximum heart rate. So session two, HIIT training again in week two. So HIIT training is always going to develop my clients' power and athleticism because they're high intensity interval training. So it yeah, it's gonna improve the power and athleticism and strength. It's also proved to be good for cardiovascular endurance as well. So the exercises that I'm going to be using on my client this time for HIIT training are going to be um, oh no, sorry, I forgot to do the warm up. So the warm up exercise I'm going to be doing are lunge with a twist, T push ups, high kicks, jump squats, and knee to chest. So I want my clients to do all of these twice, and hold them. Well, they're dynamic. So he's going to be doing them from a certain point, um, back and forth. Say there's a Say if you're in a sports hall and there's a line, I'd tell my client to go to the line and do these stretches on the way, and then come back and do the same. So I want him to do that twice, and this makes the muscles ready for the session because it's high intensity interval training. The muscles need to be pliable and warm before the session starts. Otherwise, an injury is going to occur where the muscles are going to tear because of the nature of the exercises in the main session. So. Um, so moving on to the main session, I'm going to be, as I said before, it's HIIT training. So the exercise that I'm going to be making them do are single leg burpees, tuck ups, which is it's like tuck jumps, Supermans with lateral raises, lateral lunges with hops, and mountain climbers. And in each of these, I want them to do for 1 minute without stopping at full intensity, and he can have 30 seconds rest in between where I will obviously demonstrate the next exercise, and he's going to repeat that whole circuit once after doing that. So, um, so after doing that, it's going to be a cool down to end this session. So this is going to consist of static stretches, lunge, marches, knee pull, quad pull, and then some stretches up against the wall. So front leg bent, back leg straight, and vice versa. So that's going to be helping him do. Um, uh, Static stretches help. Um, Basically, yeah, it's just a cool down. It's keeping the circulation high in the body, reducing DOMS, reducing the risk of DOMS. Um, and then the last static stretch is walking around the space. And walking's a good cool down stretch because when you're walking, right. So moving on to my third session. Sorry. So third session aerobic training. And then instead of using the cycling machine and the running machine, I'm going to be doing the treadmill. I'm going to be using the rowing machine with my client. So obviously to start off with, we'll have a warm up. So warm up is going to include a light jog on the treadmill for 5 minutes. This is going to raise his pulse, raise his heart rate, which is going to get his blood flowing around his body, and that's going to also start off the aerobic or energy system ready for the exercise. And that's important because if you don't warm up properly, then your body will have to use other energy systems first before getting accustomed to the work rate. Whereas if you're already got a high pulse, a high heart rate, then you're already going into the exercise prepared. So after the light jog on the treadmill, he's going to do some. Actually, no, sorry. Before the light jog on the treadmill, he's going to be doing some foam roller work on his muscles and basically just releasing any tension that he's got there in the deep tissue fibres. So with the foam roller, you want to basically put all your body weight onto the foam roller, so that when you're rolling across it, all your weight's basically acting against your limbs, and that's what gives you the massage. And you basically want to do all areas of your legs, so your thighs, on your quads and your hamstrings, and then on your calves, and that's basically going to loosen up your muscles. So, and then so after the jog on the treadmill, just some more static, dynamic stretches. So, inchworm, leg swings, fire hydrant circles, and leg crossovers. That concludes the warm up. So now moving on to the main session. It's going to be 25 minutes at 75% of his maximum heart rate on the rowing machine. This is obviously going to improve his cardiovascular endurance, improve his fitness, which is one of my client's main goals. Yeah, and the body basically I've got a lot of aerobic training sessions because under an extensive period of training, aerobic training, the body will adapt. So there's going to be hypertrophy in the body. There's going to be increased myoglobin stores. A lot of things that's going to help it. Specific to his body. It's gonna help with his basketball, help with his goals. So that's why I've got many aerobic training, but I've switched up the format in which he does it because I don't want my client to get bored. So it's good to have variation in there and also to up the intensity that he's doing it. So in week 2 I've upped it to 75%, where last week it was 65 to 70%. So I'm progressively overloading him. The drills are becoming harder. So 25 minutes at 75% of his maximum heart rate on the rowing machine. After he's finished that, it'll be a cool down. So the stretches that he'll be doing are scorpion, page turns, frog walking, twist, twisting reverse lunge, and then 2-step hamstring stretch. And obviously these are all to reduce DOMS and waste product from the body after the session. So moving on to week 3, got my first session, circuit training at the gym, which is 30 minutes of training at a moderate exertion rate. So first of all, the warm-up. The warm-up will include 5 minutes of rowing at moderate exertion level to get the muscles warm and pliable and reduce the injury risk during the session. So all moving on to the main session, all of the exercises that I'm giving to my client is going to take, I want him to do 10 reps of 3 sets on all of the exercises. So I'll list them now: bicep curl, tricep extension, shoulder press, bench press, skull crusher, hammer curls, and chest press. And as I said, 10 reps of 3 sets of 10 reps on all of those. After he's done these exercises, we moved on to the cool down. To keep the blood flowing, he's going to shake his arms. Just it's not that important, but shaking your arms can just get the blood flowing like more in your arms. It's just helping that little bit more to remove the waste product, because obviously when you're doing weighted exercises, it can get to a point where there's a lot of lactic acid building up in your arms, if you're doing multiple exercises at once in a day. So it's important to try and reduce the amount of lactic acid that's built up in there. So again, I'm using mimicry in the cool down. So he's going to be doing the rowing machine again, which it mimics the warm up. So at very low intensity to remove waste product from the arms, basically to raise the pulse, because he hasn't been doing the exercises in the main session aren't necessarily very pulse raising activities, because it's just weightlifting and you're not running or anything like that. It may raise the pulse a little bit, but going on the rowing machine will raise your heart rate, raise your pulse higher than in the main session. And this is important because obviously when the blood circulates more, it's able to take the waste product out of the muscles and expel it from the body more efficiently and more frequently than if you were to just go home and not do anything straight after the session, because the body's obviously at a resting heart rate, so the blood's not going around the body as quick. So this session is relevant for my client, as during basketball they need to improve their strength to compete with other players at a high level. And if your strength isn't good, then you won't be able to compete with other players that are older, that are more physically advanced. So moving on to session 2 of week 3, is a session at a gym involving the bicycle, so the stationary bicycle. So warm up, inchworm, dynamic squat stretch, crescent, hamstring stretch, half kneeling hamstring stretch, half kneeling thoracic rotations, and side to side lunge. And I'm aiming to keep this warm up within about 3 to 4 minutes. Each of these stretches should be done in 30 seconds, because they are dynamic, but there won't be space to go up and down a basketball court or something like that. It needs to be in one spot, but still moving. So I'm going to time it. I'm going to give him 30 seconds, and then he'll just do however many in the 30-second time limit. So moving on to the main content. So he'll be on the stationary bike, and I'm going to introduce fartlek training to my client. And fartlek training is where you do a certain amount. You're training at a certain intensity, and then suddenly, without stopping out any intervals, you change it to a different intensity and then change it again. So that's fartlek training. That's what I'm going to be using in this session. So first of all, he's going to do 5 minutes at 70% of his maximum heart rate, and then after that 5 minutes is up, he's going to do 15 seconds at 90% of his maximum heart rate, and then back down to 5 minutes at 50% of his maximum heart rate, and then 15 seconds of 90% of his maximum heart rate, and then rest for 5 minutes, and then repeat that. So after he's done that, the cool down, to reduce muscle soreness and waste products, using a foam roller, roll all the parts of the leg using your body weight, and then perform these static stretches. So page turns, frog walking, twisting reverse lunge, 2-step hamstring stretch, and scorpion. And then each of these you hold on 30 seconds, and obviously change it so you're doing each stretch on each side of the body.